Well, I think how I balance, I don't know. I probably don't have a very good balance, actually. It's something you have to practice your practicing, right? You have to like get better at practicing. And I think when I was young, I used to waste a lot of time. I think I maybe even practiced too much on the wrong things sometimes, and I probably wasted time. But it takes a while to figure out what works, for you, and then that's what you kind of have to focus your time on. But I would try to start off with like a good technique and warm up. And if I had an hour to practice, just to make it easy. I mean, I usually practiced in between like 4 and 6 hours a day when I was younger. But like, if I only had an hour, I would maybe practice 20 minutes just on technique and warming up.
Mhm.
And then I would play some old repertoire, something that I knew how to play to
Mhm.
just kind of get me positive about the guitar. And then because I'm a jazz guitarist, mostly what I worked on was, like when I would get to new material. So I might do 20 minutes of technique, 5 minutes of old repertoire, and then maybe I'll do another, like 25 minutes of just three things, new material. But for me, that would be like working on harmonic ideas, working on melodic ideas, because I improvise, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of what I was working on was improvisation concepts. And so I'd have kind of a harmony and a melody kind of breakdown. And then I'd finish my playing, my session with maybe 5 minutes of doing technique again, just to cool down. And then usually at the end of the session, I want to just play something that I already know. So I go away positive. I don't think it's a good idea to end your practice session frustrated. Like, oh, I can't play the guitar. I'm so terrible. It's better to be like, okay, well, I'm not good at this yet, but I'm going to play something I know because it feels good,
Mhm.
right? And then I end my session like feeling good about me and the guitar again.
Mhm.
Yeah. It might be more like it's just something you learn to live with, but really for
Mhm.
me, um, I am not in situations very often where I feel anxiety anymore. There's times where I might be, like a little more excited to play, or my senses might be a little bit more, sharp because I know that I'm playing with musicians who are maybe better than me, and I need to step my game up. But honestly, Sergio, I've played so many gigs, over the years, and this sounds this sounds crazy. I try to play the best that I can. I don't want this to sound like I'm downplaying the importance of playing well, because it is good that we always try to play well. But if I have a bad night, I didn't really cause world hunger.
Yeah.
Like it's not it's not the worst thing in the world. And if I played really great, I didn't really solve world hunger either.
Mhm.
Like, so my consequences have kind of gone like this. I want positive consequences, and there might be some negative, but the positive consequences aren't that amazing, and the negative consequences aren't that amazing either.
Yeah.
It's more like, look, what's my job? I think God gave me like a gift to fall in love with music. I think sometimes people think, oh, God gave you a gift to play music. Kind of. You get that through hard work. But God gave me a curiosity about music and kind of said, hey, if you want to develop this, like, I'll walk with you while you do it.
Mhm.
And so for me, it's like, okay, this is probably, my calling. um it's been a blessing in my life because I make so many good friends, that, like, all over the world. We have so many friends as musicians, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that I, like, more than anything, I think that's kind of what I was blessed with, was like inspiration, going to, like, because I lived with my father, so I was always inspired. But like, God just gave me this curiosity to, like, figure out, okay, I want to know how this music works. And
Mhm.
why do I want to know how it works? Because it feels so good to listen to it, and it feels so good to play it. But then you come to music school, and all of a sudden it kind of gets, sometimes it gets flipped in your mind that now it becomes work. And you're constantly being criticized, and it's all in an effort to make it better. But like sometimes that can be a little hard, and you start to like maybe not like music that much. I always tell the young students when they come to the university, one of the first things I tell them is, hey, we got to get something straight here. Don't let music school make you hate music.
Yeah.
Because it does sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why does it? Well, it's probably like insecurities and the feeling of failure and the feeling of being overly criticized, right? And so I'm like, let's find a balance. Let's find a balance to where like you can still love music, but get better at it. And so as a teacher, that's what I'm always thinking of, is like, how far do I push a student, right? Because sometimes students are lazy, and they need to be told like, hey, hurry up. And also, you can be better than this.
Yeah.
You know what? You have great potential, but you're not going to get it if you're lazy. Okay. And then if you don't want to do it, if it doesn't make you happy, then you should do something else.
Yeah.
You can always have music in your life, but you should do something else for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the world has lots of good musicians right now. And hey, there's always, I always say this, there's always room at the top. Like a great musician will always have opportunities. That's just how it is. Sometimes parents get worried about their kids going to school. Always, he or she is going to be a musician. Oh, I'm so nervous. You don't need to be nervous if they're good.
Mm-hmm.
There's always room at the top. There's always room at the top. So, I'm always, trying to like, in myself, watch that for the younger generation. For me, going back to the original question, I don't have that much anxiety when I play anymore, because I have the luxury of putting myself in situations where I'll be comfortable, and I can say no to things that would make me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
There's been, times where I've, been asked to play music, and I'm like, you know what? I'm probably not the best guy for that. I'm not going to have fun doing that. I'm not going to feel good. You need to get somebody else. But also sometimes I look at it and I go, man, this music is really going to challenge me, and I can do it. And it's going to be, I'm going to have to put some time into it, but I want to do this. Like, this is going to feel good at the end. So I'll do it. And hopefully you get to a spot where it's like you can just be, in the moment with the music and enjoy it as much as the audience does. Okay, well, I spend a lot of time outdoors, and that's a big part of the reason that, that I have moved back to Utah, and I've had opportunities to leave Utah, but I've wanted to stay because I absolutely love being in the mountains. I love to fish. I love to hunt in the fall. I have a lot of hobbies that are around like the mountains, and it does keep me balanced, but it also inspires my music because I compose a lot, and I find that I think really clear when I'm in nature more than I do when I'm in an urban setting. And that's not the same for everybody. Some people get really inspired by, the city, and that might change maybe someday I will. But right now in this phase of my life, I find more peace and more calm, like in the mountains, and in the quiet moments. And I find quiet moments more in the mountains than I do anywhere else. I try to be, a spiritual person. I try to have a strong, relationship with God, because I do believe that like everything that's good in our life comes from God. And I believe that like God wants us to be happy. And one of the ways that we can become more happy is to like advance, and to progress, and to, understand things better, and to develop our potential, like reach our potential. And when we do that, it allows us to, like, one, I mean, we feel good about ourselves, but it allows us to serve other people better also. And that might be in a performance, that might be in a conversation, that might be in a lesson. um, I think that's like I said, all good things come from God, and music for me is a really, really good thing. So that plays a pretty important, role with me. I think sometimes, though, that we have to also realize to have a balance of, like, we can become all consumed with reaching our potential, and that can sometimes bring some negative feelings to us, like, oh, I'm not reaching my potential. I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. And, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I think you just have to realize, like, if you're trying and you're progressing, that's enough. It's not a competition. You don't have to progress at the same speed as somebody else. That's one of the thing I'm pretty open about as a professor. I don't like giving grades. You know this. I like doing assessments and giving feedback, but I don't like giving the grade, because the grade is like a label, you know. And too many times I've seen students that might, in the moment get a bad grade, but their timeline is it just takes them a little longer to assimilate a concept or assimilate a technique. And, I have students right now that, maybe struggled in certain aspects of, playing music and playing the guitar. And, maybe some of the professors, that they worked with thought, oh, they'll never amount to anything. And they are doing great.
Yeah.
Because their timeline was just a little bit different. It just takes a little bit more time, and the way their brain and the way their body works just needs more time than 14 weeks in a semester to perfect something. So, as a professor, I'm trying more and more to look at the long game. And I think that's kind of what God does with us.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at the long game. It's not, yeah, maybe in the moment you're not that good, but you don't have to be a certain good in 14 weeks. It's, that's the question. Are you getting better? Because somebody might not be really great when they're 18, 19 years old, but they might be great when they're 35.
Mm-hmm.
Or they might be great when they're 40. I mean, I truly don't feel like I had an original voice or an original sound, or that I was bringing anything unique to the music world until I was about late 30, maybe even 40 years old. It took me that long. I had friends that I went to school with that I think they were contributing in a really deep way by the time they were 30 years old. They just got it. They just got it faster.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a race. I mean, the question is one, do you feel good about your progress? Do you feel good about yourself? Okay, great. Okay, then just do what you can and let the timeline be the timeline. And if you're trying to get better, find that thing. And, I think you have to have things outside of music to be good at music. I think you have to have some life, maybe you got to, fall in love, a couple times, maybe get your heart broken a couple of times so that you like know what that feels like, because, like, playing music is all about emotions. It's not just about the science of music. It's not just about the theory of music. It's not just about technique. It's about, like, the human experience. So go out and have some experiences, because, maybe you're going to play the Giuliani exercises better because you like the sound of water. I don't know. I mean, it's so different for everybody. I think one is, like, just learn to love practicing music as much as performing it, because a lot of times we can get caught up in the ego of, like, how performing makes us feel because other people see us do something that really is remarkable. Like, playing music is pretty cool. But, like, if you can be just as happy practicing as you can performing, then I think you found it pretty good. You found a good thing. My other advice is work as hard as you can, but don't be too hard on yourself. I think that happens a lot, and not just with music, just in life in general. I think sometimes people can be really, really hard on themselves. And one thing I notice is sometimes the people who try the hardest are the ones that are the hardest on themselves. And I think you have to try to find um, just that balance where it's like, hey, I can correct some mistakes and I can progress, but I'm not gonna flog myself at the end of the day, because celebrate the fact that you're getting better. Celebrate the fact that you're alive. Celebrate the fact that your body works and you can get better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how cool is that? I mean, some people want to do this and they can't. They might have a condition or an injury or something. So it's like, for me, and that really is. It's like that's kind of my thing. It's like, hey, every day I'm the luckiest guy in the world because
That's true.
these still work. And to be honest, Sergio, if these stopped working, that's okay. Like, it's not what defines me as a human being. I would figure out a way to be creative. I would figure out a way to, I don't know, maybe support someone else who can do this. Like life isn't just about playing music, right? But you can learn about life by playing music.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Thank you for this beautiful interview, Corey. And it was a pleasure too.
Pleasure was mine. Yeah.
Thanks.